thought that welcome everybody to the live stream. Welcome guys to voting on who is the best of Jesus's disciples. I'm very excited for this, guys, because I just thought this was kind of a fun, wacky idea. And I'm excited that you guys get to join in on the voting and deciding who, out of all of the disciples of Jesus, is the best disciple. Today, I have listed all of the 12 disciples, but I've also listed 4 extra people to make it a 16-person bracket, so it's a little bit bigger, and all of those fun stuff. So the extra people that I have is going to be Mary Magdalene. I also included Paul, the Apostle Paul. I included James the Just, Jesus' brother, and then I included Matthias as well, who is the replacement for Judas. So, but yeah, who do you guys think is going to win? Comment below. Who do you think is going to win the overall bracket today? In before Judas, yes, you are here before Judas. Way to go. He's definitely not probably going to be a favorite here, but in my opinion. So this bracket's going to be a lot of different challenges, right? In my opinion, the person who's going to win is going to be twofold. It's going to be a bit of a popularity contest because, I mean, come on. Who knows like anything about, James, son of Alphaeus? We know barely anything about him, right? So he's probably not going to win unless y'all are a huge fan of James, son of Alphaeus. No shade there. No shade. But, in terms of, popularity, that's definitely going to be part of it. But on top of that, it's going to be competitions of who do you think is the most competent or skilled at a certain thing. And so it's going to be different random challenges. And I'll show you that here real quick. The challenges, I got a little wheel put together. So it's going to be things like who would be the best at cooking, who would put together the best floral arrangement, who's going to be the best at public speaking, arm wrestling, 100-meter dash, fishing. One of my personal favorites here is in a chess match, or who do you think is the most traveled out of everyone in the list? So we'll just kind of spin the wheel as we go and vote and decide which one do you think is the ultimate disciple of Jesus. So that'll be pretty interesting. No, Judas. Everyone loves a dark horse. That's fair. Yeah, that is fair. Honestly, if Judas ends up winning this, I will be very surprised. But hey, I've seen more shocking things in my life. That's for sure. I've seen more shocking things in my life. But yeah, welcome everybody. So Paul solos. Yeah. I could see Paul soloing. Honestly, in terms of, there's a couple there that I'm like, oh, Paul's definitely going to win this because I got like Torah trivia as one of the options. So who would win in trivia over the Torah? I also got, what was it? It wasn't tent making. I was thinking about putting tent making, but I was like, nah, Paul's going to just annihilate everyone in that. But what was the other one? Oh yeah, well-traveled. I mentioned that one earlier. I think Paul's probably going to win that one if he gets in the competition. So, but let's introduce who do we got on the lineup. Welcome to the chat, guys. But yeah, who do we got on the lineup? Paul is the GOAT. I love that. Well, first and foremost, I ranked these. So it's going to be 1v16. 8v9, kind of like March Madness in the Sweet 16. That'll be the structure of this tournament. So who is the number one spot in this position? This is a bit maybe controversial, but I think number one spot is the Apostle John. And the reason I put John there is because first off, everyone knows who John is, right? He wrote one of the Gospels supposedly. And on top of that, I think, hear me out, I think John is pretty athletic. If you read the last chapter of John, pastors talk about this all the time. There's the reference to the character in the Gospel of John who is the apostle that Jesus loved. And most people think that apostle is the Apostle John because he's the one writing about himself in there, the apostle who Jesus loved. And so in that, it has a sort of race to the tomb between the apostle who Jesus loved, who's John, and Peter, who's, probably the most well-known, renowned out of all of the disciples. And guess who kind of brags a little bit about the fact that he beat Peter in a race to the tomb? It was John. He said that the apostle that Jesus loved made it to the tomb, and then Peter followed up. So I think John's got a little bit of athletic ability, which, is surprising, because Peter himself is probably pretty athletic due to, being a fisherman and all of that sort. So it'll be pretty interesting. So that's why he's in first. What he's facing is Matthias. We really don't know much about Matthias. In second seed of the tournament, I got Paul. Okay. Y'all are saying that Paul's going to solo, Paul's going to sweep, he's the GOAT. I think that's fair. That's why he's number 2. He's not quite number 1, but I think Paul's number 2. I didn't quite put him at 1 because, he's not one of the original 12. So that's why he's number 2. At number 3, that's where we got Peter, St. Peter. I think for obvious reasons, that's why, he's at number 3. At number 4, I got Mary Magdalene, simply because she's a sleeper, in my opinion. Out of everyone on this list, I think Mary Magdalene is maybe going to be the most underrated. That and one other person that I kind of ranked a little bit higher than you might think. But Mary Magdalene, simply because I think she represents the entire women's ministry of Jesus. And Jesus, he at least in the Gospels, favored a lot of the women in ministry. And Mary Magdalene was of pretty high standard. In tradition today, we think of her as a person who overcame prostitution and things of that sort, but that's not really mentioned in the Bible. The Bible kind of renounces her as a potentially wealthy, high-class woman who was in charge and had a lot of leadership skills to lead the entire women's ministry for Jesus. So, in my opinion, that is why she is number 4. At number 5, what do we got? Okay, this is the other one. Don't judge me for this. I put Simon the Zealot there. So I'll show you guys here. Simon the Zealot. He's going against Andrew at number 12. Simon the Zealot, if you're not familiar, if you've seen The Chosen, that series, The Chosen, he's kind of like an assassin almost. He's pretty badass. He has a knife and goes around doing, badass things with a knife, But in my opinion, I think he's probably the most athletic out of everyone here. And so any athletic competition, I honestly think he's going to win it out, because you got to be pretty badass to be a zealot. You're fighting battles and all of that stuff. So, and then at number 6, what do we got? Number 6. Yep. I got James, the brother of Jesus, mainly because he's the one that led the church after Jesus died, the church in Jerusalem, I should say. So he's got leadership skills. He wrote his own book, so he's got popularity skills, all that stuff. I'm just going to go through the top 8. The other ones, probably not as important. At number 7, I got Matthew, the apostle, mainly because I think Matthew, he's got them smarts, bro. He's an intelligent guy. He was once a tax collector. I think you got to be pretty smart and cunning to do that. So, in some stages, I think, okay, hear me out. I think Matthew, as well as Judas, are the two that would be willing to cheat in order to win. And hey, if you can cheat and get away with it and win, all props to you. So I'm just saying. I think Matthew's got pretty good, interesting skills here. And then at number 8, I got what's number 8? I got Thomas at number 8, mainly because Thomas, he's most well known because, doubting Thomas, you've probably heard of that. And so that's going to give him some renown. But in terms of the early church outside of kind of modern Orthodox traditions, Thomas is actually a really big disciple, probably as big as the apostle Peter in certain areas. And he has his own gospel written, which is a sayings gospel. So that's why I put him there. At number 9, I got Philip because Philip is very similar to Thomas. He led the church in Ethiopia. He's the one that did that baptized the Ethiopian eunuch. So we got a lot of, and he's similar to Thomas, where a lot of churches renowned him as the top disciple. So that's our lineup for today. It'll be pretty interesting. Paul has the most info about him compared to everyone else, I think. Yeah, no, 100%. I mean, Paul's written 13 letters, 7 of which we know were written by him for sure. And so to me, like, Paul has got to be the most renowned out of all these people, maybe the most influential. I don't think we have modern Christianity as it is without Paul. That's just my opinion. So, but yeah, it'll be pretty interesting. So I say, let's get into this thing. Let me know your thoughts below. Sounds like Paul's the favorite. Who do you think is going to be the dark horse, the sleeper out of this entire group? Let me know in the comments below. And let's get to the very first competition. So this first competition is going to be between John and Matthias. And as I said, Matthias is that person who replaced Judas after he committed suicide. So he's kind of the quote-unquote 13th disciple. So who's going to win, John or Matthias? Let me know in the comments below. Let's see what we got. What is the competition? Here we go. Let's spin it. Spinaroo. What is the competition? Oh, yo. Okay. Arm wrestling. Okay. Let's discuss. So John versus Matthias, arm wrestling. That's a pretty interesting one. We don't know very much about Matthias. It's kind of why he's number 16, if I'm being honest. But if I had to think about this, what do we know about Matthias? Well, we know that he was a part of the ministry from very early on, as well as John. We also know that John, as I said before, seems to be at least fairly athletic. So I think he's got that edge. And that's pretty much it. That is pretty much it. What are your guys' thoughts on this one? I don't read the Bible too much, but I'm guessing John takes it. Yeah. I don't think this is much of a competition. I mean, it's 1v16, I gotta pull together what is the best argument for Matthias winning this thing. Well, Matthias would be, he would have been Jewish, as well as John. I think he probably would have been from the same area. So potentially he's also a fisherman. So, that's a pretty physical job. I think Matthias and John potentially could be both have been fishermen. So both pretty athletic. Honestly, I think John's going to win this one. I don't know. I don't see any good argument for Matthias over John here. I don't know. What do you guys think? Do you guys have any input on why Matthias might take this one? Honestly, I think it's got to be just popularity and what we know about him. I'm going to put out the poll here real quick. We'll keep discussing, but yeah, I don't know. So far, we got a vote for John, 2 votes for John. Yeah, I mean, the only thing I could think about for why Matthias would actually win this thing is because, he's you know what? There's no good reason. John wins. I've literally tried to scramble and think, but I'm going to say that John wins. You guys are correct. So we will give this one to John. Oh, let me hold on. Sorry about that. Give me 1 second. For some reason, it's not working here. Oh, that's why. I wasn't logged in. Give me a second, guys. Might be. I'm sorry about that. I was not logged in, so I couldn't edit the bracket. Let me quickly do that. Yeah, honestly, the first ones are definitely going to be pretty heavily favored, I think, toward the winners. So I don't even think this is much of a competition at all. John is the victor. We're going to give him it. Actually, y'all voted 2. So 2-0. John sweeps the first one. All right, on to number 2. All right. So this one's going to be probably the closest out of round 1. And I'm going to set the stage here. We got Thomas in one hand. Okay, so Thomas, he's in The Chosen, he's the guy that owned all the wine that was turned into, or all the wine that ran out at the wedding in Cana. And Jesus' first miracle, he turned the extra water into wine so they didn't run out of any wine at the wedding. So that's not in the Bible, but that's in, The Chosen. So all forms of media are open. Thomas is also the guy that did that. He doubts. He's not 100% in. So if he's trying to win a competition, he's the guy that kind of doubts. He's the guy that's like, I don't know. So maybe he doesn't believe in himself. Potential, self-doubt creeping in. So maybe he doesn't got that dog in him to take out the win. So those are some potential things. But also on top of that, Thomas is highly favored. You can maybe flip on the flip side of that. He's not going to take your word for things. He's going to be the one to dig in and find answers to things on his own. So he doesn't take things face value. So I think that's the twofold side for Thomas. And then for Philip, Philip is, he was convinced that Jesus was God from the miracle where, he followed John the Baptist. That's what it was. So he followed John the Baptist in the wilderness. So that's Philip. And if you're going to follow crazy kooky John the Baptist, you got to have some pretty good survival skills. You probably don't give a fuck about whatever people say or do. And so I think Philip out of these two is probably a bit more of a risk taker. And he probably, in terms of image and self-image, he's not going to care at all. So those are the traits I'm thinking about. Imagine the apostles 2,000 years ago with totally different sounding Hebrew names knew that they'd be having a trivia bracket about them. Oh, that's trippy. Yeah. I think it's just kind of fun, but honestly, I feel like they'd be participating in this because they'd be like, "Whoa, that's interesting," and I'd hope that they'd be able to pull out in some of these things. So, all right, so that's the stage. That's setting the stage for this competition. Let's see what the competition will be. Here we go. Oh, is it? Yep, photographer. Okay, so who would be the best photographer out of these two? Well, I kind of set the stage already. So we got here Thomas, who I'm thinking... This is my thoughts. Thomas, he's going to think deeply about the photo, right? So he's maybe not taken quite as many photos, but the quality of these photos are going to be goddamn good. Okay, so that's number one. Thomas, he thinks about the photos. He's a deep thinker. He doesn't just like go and do things and like send things en masse. He's more of a quality over quantity kind of guy. So that's Thomas. Philip, I think he's a bit of a risk taker. Philip, he's not going to care about hanging over the edge of a cliff to take a goddamn good photo. He's going to do it. Like he lived in the wild. He ate bugs, locusts with honey. He wore crazy clothes along with John the Baptist. I think he would just not care. He'd probably be a good journalist too, because if he needed to get a story or get a video or a photo for a journalistic story, he's not going to care. He'll lie. I'm sure he'd probably lie his way in order to get a good photo. He'd probably do whatever it takes, even look like a fool to get a good photo. So really good, thought out photos. That's number one. That's Thomas. He's going to think really hard about the photos. And then Philip, there's no restrictions. There's nothing holding this guy back. He's going to do whatever it takes in order to get a good photo. What are your guys' thoughts? In my opinion, that's what this has to be up to. Quality, really good, well thought out photo versus no restrictions. All right, poll's out. The poll is out. Go ahead and vote. No restrictions versus quality photo. Okay, we got to vote for Thomas. So I am agnostic. Oh, yeah. No, I'm agnostic, but I'm really interested in this kind of discussion, and I think it's kind of fun. So I kind of view these characters more in their archetypal kind of narrative rather than as historical figures. I do think they're based on historical figures, but I don't think the stories that are for them are necessarily historical. There's probably history behind them, but I think there's also a lot of mythology along with them, simply just because the Gospels were written, many decades after when these people would have been alive. So that's kind of the main reason. But yeah, no, I really am fascinated by these stories, and I think definitely something worth learning for a lot of people. Oh, nice. That's super cool. Yeah, I mean, in Islam, I know that you guys revere Jesus, and I'm curious. Do you guys like how much of Jesus's ministry is like focused in Islam? Because I know Muhammad's the last prophet. He's like the final prophet, and Jesus is the Messiah, but he's not God, obviously. So I'm curious, like how many of these stories would you be familiar with from the Bible? All right, so far with the poll, we've got one vote. My vote, if I'm being honest, it's a tough one. I think I'd choose Thomas also. That would be my vote. Mainly because he's really going to think through these things and is going to, not much, but we got Jesus talking as a baby. Yeah, that's good. What is it? I think it's the apocryphal Gospel of Judas, I believe. Or is it the Gospel of Mary? I don't know. But any one of those has Jesus turning clay into like birds as a baby, and then basically just roasting some of the onlookers to the miracle. So it was pretty cool. All right, I'm gonna give it one more minute, but I'm thinking Thomas is probably gonna take the win here. So far, it's a 1-0 competition. Yeah, this one's honestly a lot tougher. Out of round one, I think this is by far the most tough. Yeah, no, it's not apocryphal. Sorry, that was the incorrect word. Infancy gospel. You're correct. Not the apocryphal gospel. I've read quite a few of the Nag Hammadi texts, but I haven't gotten to that one yet. I've read Gospel of Thomas and then the Gospel of Judas as well. And then there's the Gospel of the Egyptians, which if you want to look into a crazy cosmological book, I would highly recommend Gospel of the Egyptians. It's pretty freaking wild. So yeah, some of the early Christian literature is it's really fascinating what they were writing in those early days. So yeah, I think it is infancy gospel. So all right, where are we at? Looks like Thomas is gonna be the winner. He's gonna pull out with the W. All right, Thomas it is. No upsets yet. I guess no one's upset that way. All right. Round number 3. Numero tres. We got Mary Magdalene versus Bartholomew. Mary Magdalene versus Bartholomew. Now, let's think about this. So I mentioned at the beginning that Mary Magdalene, she's kind of the leader of the ministry for women here. And then Bartholomew, he's an interesting character. We don't know a ton about him. A lot of these kind of lower ranked disciples, they're ranked low because we just don't know much about them. But with Bartholomew, what we do know is that he was convinced by Jesus to follow Jesus because Jesus had a vision where he saw Bartholomew talking to Philip, right? So Bartholomew and Philip, the guy who is kind of wild man, they were friends. And Philip convinced Bartholomew that Jesus is legit. He should go talk to him. Bartholomew was like, I don't know, maybe. So he goes to Jesus. The first thing that Jesus says is, I saw you under that tree, where they had that conversation. It was under a tree where Philip and Bartholomew had a conversation. And so Jesus showed that he saw that conversation. He miraculously understood where Bartholomew was at in that moment. And at that point, Bartholomew had the faith to surrender to Jesus and to follow him. So that is the main thing. Bartholomew is just an amazing name, so I think he wins off that alone. Oh man! Oh, what you're gonna vote over Mary Magdalene for that? That's okay. I mean, you can vote however. I am biased toward Mary Magdalene because I think she's a beast. But yeah, Bartholomew or Nathaniel, he does have a pretty good name. That's true. So we got Mary Magdalene, the leader. So she's got some pretty good leadership skills. She's probably wealthy too. So she's got some networking skills. She's probably good at talking to people. So I think she's got a lot of that. Whereas Bartholomew, he's loyal. So think like Hufflepuff, if you're familiar with Harry Potter, he's loyal. And he's a guy that, he's got a pretty sick name. So if there's anything to do with like impressing people with your name, that's a pretty good deal right there. So those are the two people we got. Let us see, what is the competition going to be? What is the competition going to be? I'm voting Mary. We can't lose. The only woman first shot. That's fair. What do we got? Oh, I actually really like this one. Music producer. Okay, so who do you think out of Mary Magdalene and Bartholomew is going to produce the best music? Okay, let's think about this. I think Mary, she's definitely going to be able to hire a pretty good producer, right? Because she's got the funds, she's got the networking. I think out of these two, she's probably the one that will be able to network and get a solid producer to help her in the process. In terms of her own personal creativity skills, I don't know. But in terms of producing music, I think she's got the connections. You know what I mean? She's got those connections. So that's what she's got. Bartholomew, bro, he's a dreamer. Okay, Bartholomew, he's the guy that's like, he's loyal. And so if he's committed to making music, it's going to be really good. He's going to put his 100%, 110% effort into it, right? So that's Little Mary and young Bartholomew. Oh, those are good. Little M, right? Little M. I just feel so Mary. I think the rap song's gonna be like a variation of Mary Had a Little Lamb. You know what I mean? It's gonna be like Mary had a, something like that. Just that kind of vibe. The nursery rhymes with those sick beats, probably some dubstep drops, stuff like that. Little Bartholomew. Now, what's his song gonna be about? I think it's going to be a deep song, probably about his moment of deep kind of awakening. I was awakened under the tree. Something like that, like something along those lines. So I think what we get from Mary is going to be this like highly produced, just like dubstep, bit of rap, variation of a nursery rhyme. Whereas from Bartholomew, I think it's going to be more passionate, more like surreal, emotional, maybe not quite as high quality, but definitely going to be all the emotions laid out on the table. I think that's what we got here. I think that's what we got. So it's between Little M and young Bartholomew. What do we think? Little M in the house. And young B. Little M and young B. Who wins? Little M and young B. Oh boy. Yeah, I mean, that's what we got. We got Mary Magdalene. She's got them connections. It's going to sound good. It's going to sound fucking good, dude. You're going to hear it and you'll be like, "Yeah, baby, come on. Let's get it." You're going to be vibing. Whereas Bartholomew, you might be crying. He's going to probably be crying a little bit. Oh boy. We are tied, boys. We are tied. Okay, so we are currently tied. So Bartholomew is probably also, so let's think maybe current day. Who would win in current day rather than maybe back then? I'm a sucker for the underground. There's an album called Magdalene by FKA Twigs that I hear like thrice a week. Oh, so she's already got connections. It sounds like she's already kind of made a bit of a name for herself. Okay, so she's got a crowd. She's got some other producers that she can maybe collab with. I don't know, guys. All right, Chthonic, you're gonna have to convince me on young B here, on Bartholomew, because right now I'm leaning toward Little M, and I'll be the final vote here. What do you got for why should I vote for young B? We're at 1-1. There we go. 1-1. The stakes are down. It's time. It's time to pull it out. Young B is like Tupac. He spits from the heart. He's a real one. Okay, so we got the woman with the connections, the woman with the money, and then we got the man who speaks from the heart. Just like Tupac. In my opinion, just like NF. Okay. Who do you guys think is going to be the most long-lasting producer? So who maybe the first few albums, I think Mary's probably going to be on top. They're probably going to be more popular. But in the long run, who do you think's going to win? Who's going to become a top artist in the long run? Who do we got? Women are huge in the music industry right now. They got the talent. Okay. That's true. I think who are the top artists right now? Who's top of the charts? Let's see. Taylor Swift. Wham. Dean Martin. I mean, Taylor Swift's number one. And she's been doing it for a long time. Yeah, fair point. Okay. Guys, this is a close one. This is much closer than I thought it was going to be. I'm going to have to say my girl, Lil M. Mary Magdalene moves on to the next round. Dum dum dum. Oh man, that was a close one. I did not think it was actually going to be that close. But that's pretty cool. All right, up next. This one is honestly, this is why he's number 5. We got Simon the Zealot versus Andrew. Andrew is the brother of Peter. So you know the Apostle Peter. You know who St. Peter is. He's probably the most popular disciple in the entire world. But we would not have a St. Peter without Andrew. Just like Philip, Andrew also followed John the Baptist in the wilderness. So he's a little crazy. He gets a little crazy. He's definitely got that dog in him. He's going to finish to the end. He's going to put his full effort in. And he doesn't care. He will be unashamed in the entire process. Okay, so that's Andrew. But he's facing number 5. Number 5 in the seeds, which is Simon the Zealot. As I mentioned before, I think Simon the Zealot destroys anyone in any physical competition. Not even close. I mean, bro is fighting wars. He's fighting battles. So if there's a physical competition here, I don't see how Simon the Zealot loses. I just don't see it. Maybe a race. John the Baptist is a cool guy, highly underrated. I think he clears this whole bracket. Oh, yeah, John the Baptist. He's not on this bracket. I kind of wish he was, but Andrew goes hard. Yeah, Andrew, John the Baptist is a badass. Andrew and Philip are both badasses too. That's my opinion. But again, I want to emphasize Simon the Zealot, any physical competition, any athletic competition, I think he's soloing this entire thing. So it really depends on the competition, in my opinion. That's why he's number 5. But yeah. All right, that's what we're considering. That's what has to be considered. Here we go. What is the competition, baby? What do we got? Oh, fuck. Okay. Most traveled. Okay, I'll be honest. I don't think this is close. I don't think this is close at all. Let's think about this. We got Andrew, who is probably the most traveled because he's traveling all over the place with John the Baptist, all over the wilderness, going and preaching from town to town. That's Andrew. Like, that was his ministry prior to Jesus. That was his ministry during Jesus' times. We also have legends of him traveling all the way to Asia Minor. So Andrew's definitely pretty traveled. But let's make a case here for Simon the Zealot, okay? Simon the Zealot, we don't know too much about him, but he was fighting battles, probably all over Jerusalem, Judea, all over that area. So in terms of Judea, I'm thinking Simon the Zealot is more locally traveled, right? He knows the local spots a little bit better. He's fought in a lot of wars all over the place. Whereas Andrew, he's probably fairly local traveled too. He knows the wilderness a little bit better. And then after the ministry, he's also traveled all the way to Asia Minor. Okay. That's what we got. That's what we got. So I'm gonna open it up. Who wins this one? Simon Z or Andy? Simon Z or Andy? St. Andrew. Like Andy from Toy Story. But definitely not even close to that at all. Who wins? Who wins? I don't know. I'm pretty sure I know who wins this one. Yep. St. Andrew. He has one vote. I'm not too surprised. Not too surprised. Andy all the way. Andy all the way. Put it all on Andy. I was actually, for New Year's, I was playing roulette. And my friend and I, we kept Andy Griffith Show. Nice. I like it. I like it. But I was playing roulette, and my friend and I kept putting it all on the upper third, and we actually won a few bucks from doing that. We only put in like $40, but I was like, man, that was pretty good. So, did you see that scholarship theory that maybe John the Baptist and Jesus were like trying to be co-messiahs? So actually, yeah, that's very, very interesting. So I am familiar with that. The reason people bring that up is because in Jewish tradition, there is the idea that there are two messiahs. So there's a priestly messiah and a king messiah. And that's because in ancient Jerusalem, Second Temple Jerusalem, they had both the priest, so the head of the temple, and then they also had a king. However, in Second Temple Judaism, the role of king was kind of fuzzy because they were under the authority of Babylon, then Persia, and so on, right? Then it was the Greeks and then the Romans. So during Second Temple period, the priest was really the only hierarchical role during that time, which is why they had predictions that the Messiah would not just show up as a king like people would think, but also as a priest. And so the theory goes that Jesus would have been the priestly sacrifice, and then John the Baptist would have been the kingly sacrifice. Of course, that's not really how it worked out historically, but that is the thought. So, but yeah, no, it's really fascinating. There are some people who think that John the Baptist was probably the Messiah in early days. And no one modern day thinks that. But when you look at some of the language of how they describe John the Baptist, he would have been more significant than Jesus. Like during the time of Jesus, John the Baptist had a lot of renown. Like we see Herod talking about how he thinks Jesus is probably the reincarnation of John the Baptist. And he's afraid that he's the reincarnation of John the Baptist, which is fascinating. It's like, oh, so John the Baptist was definitely more renowned in that place and time. Yeah, it is pretty interesting stuff. For sure. All right. Looks like we got our winner. Andy. Good old Andrew. Good old Andrew. He sweeps. He sweeps the floor. All right. Next up, guys. Next up, we got a favorite. Y'all said he was going to solo this match. We got Paul, the Apostle Paul. Now, he's not one of the original 12, okay? So some might argue, you're not doing the 12 disciples. Yeah. Okay. Let's move on. Let's move on from that. Paul is the most influential person in the entire Bible. Besides Jesus, I'd say. But he's the most influential person when it comes to writing the Bible. I can say that very confidently. 13 out of the 27 books of the New Testament were written by Paul. A lot of the theology we hold to is because of the interpretations that Paul writes about in the New Testament. Paul did a lot of heresy hunting in his time. He's a very influential guy. I was hoping we get well-traveled because dude traveled all over Asia Minor, and all over the Roman Empire. He traveled all over Israel. He traveled down to Egypt. He was all over the place. So he's well-traveled. He's a really smart guy, right? He used to be a Pharisee, one of the top Pharisees in the temple. And so he was able to convert a lot of Jews that way. Paul is also adventurous. You know, he got into multiple shipwrecks and survived. So he's probably pretty athletic. He's very adventurous. He's got to be pretty creative with some of the preaches and the public speaking that he did in being able to craft a lot of that public speaking. So Paul, I mean, he's got a lot going for him. But what is his opponent? Well, it's James, son of Alphaeus. Pretty much we just know his name. That's pretty much all we know about James, son of Alphaeus. But don't get me wrong, the name of his dad, Alphaeus, is a pretty cool name. I will say so. So yeah. I think you can argue that Paul is more influential than Jesus as well. That's depends on what you mean by influential. If you mean in terms of what he wrote, yes, 100%. He's much more influential than Jesus. Jesus didn't even write anything. But in terms of the quotes that come from him, iconography, archetypes, Jesus is much more influential. But I would agree with you. In terms of historical documentation and historical literacy and known historical acts, like not just potentially historical, but known historical acts, Paul's the winner, 100%. Not even close. So, yeah, it depends on what you mean by influential, though. All right. Easy win. I don't know, man. James son of Alphaeus, right? You know, he's written in the Bible. he's written down. James A and Paul. All right, let's vote. Who wins? Who wins? James A or Paul? James son of Alphaeus. He's this is the other thing. His other name is Judas, right? So maybe he and Judas Iscariot were kind of homies. And I don't even have the competition yet. Sorry. We're voting. Don't vote. Don't vote yet. Don't vote. We got to figure out what the competition is. My B. Okay. This one's 100% not even close. Home decorator. So Paul by trade is a tent maker. We know that because he worked with Aquila and Priscilla for several years, who were tent makers. So we know that he has experience in making tents for people, which I would assume has some benefit toward home decoration as well. So if he was alive today, he would probably be either a construction worker, working on homes, maybe an architect, or internal home decoration very well could be what he is today. So that's definitely my thoughts. I don't know if the historical Jesus ever actually preached to Gentiles outside of Paul's doctrines, which might be his own versions / ideals. Well, I'll put this to you. Every single gospel has him preaching to Gentiles, has Jesus preaching specifically to Gentiles. In Mark, we have the earliest gospel where he talks to a woman and basically says that she comes and implores to him that he would help her and teach her, or that he would allow her to follow him. And Jesus kind of responds sarcastically. It looks a little kind of messed up what he responds. He says, "Why would I teach you when what you deserve is the scraps from the table, as a dog eats the scrap, or what you deserve is the scraps from the table, right? Not the full teaching, but maybe the leftovers from my teaching." And she responds, "Well, even the dogs get to eat the scraps from the table." And Jesus says, "Very well said. You can follow me." And so I think I don't think that the lesson is that Jesus is, racist, but I think the lesson there is he's trying to get his other disciples who are hearing this conversation to think about how they think about Gentiles, right? So there's that. We also have, in John, which is our latest gospel, we have him talking to the woman at the well, the Good Samaritan. The woman at the well. We also have his parable of the Good Samaritan. So where Jesus basically says, who would you help in a situation of dire need? Would you help a Samaritan, or would you help a fellow Jew who's in a pit, endangered? And a priest doesn't help. I think it's a Levite, doesn't help either. The only person that helps the person in the pit who's a Jew in this story that Jesus is telling is the Samaritan. And Jesus says, "Who is your neighbor in that?" And they say, "Well, it'd be the Samaritan." And Jesus says, "Go and do otherwise, likewise." So basically the idea is we need to love even our enemies who are not considered Jews. Now, Samaritans are part Jew, but they would have, from the Jewish standpoint at that time, they would have been considered Gentile, as good as Gentiles, and not worthy of the teachings of the Messiah. So I think there is a pretty good case to say that Jesus was pro-Gentile. I mean, in John 3:16, he says it's for all people, right? That the gospel is for everyone. He died on the cross for everyone. So I think it's pretty strong case to say that Jesus is pro-Gentile. So, but yeah, definitely a lot to discuss. All right, Paul. Looks like Paul's the winner. Big old shocker there. Who knew? Who knew that Paul was going to win? Honestly, I think Paul might win out, mainly because Simon the Zealot didn't get his athletic competition here. However, John is going to be pretty interesting. It'll be interesting to see him face up against John, and potentially even Peter. So we'll see. But I do think that your initial estimate that Paul's going to sweep here, he's going to solo all these people, I think that was a pretty good estimate. All right, what do we got next? Did I end I didn't need to end the poll here. What do we got next? What do we got? We got Matthew versus James, son of Zebedee. Okay. This one's actually, I think, going to be fairly close. And let me tell you why. So James, son of Zebedee, is the brother of John, St. John. Okay. So John and James, they grew up together. They would have been, really close. They're fishermen, so they're fairly athletic. I also know that James, right? James, son of Zebedee, is actually the first martyr out of all, well, besides Simon, right? Besides Simon, he's the first of the 12 disciples to be martyred for their faith, to be killed for their faith, right? So from that perspective, I think we have a pretty good case to be made that he's athletic because of his fisherman skills. And on top of that, he is unashamed, right? He's willing to go the extra mile and even be killed for what he believes. So that's James, son of Zebedee. We also got Matthew. Now, Matthew was also martyred for his faith according to church tradition. His martyrdom, though, is not as historically accounted for. So there's that. But what does Matthew have going for him? I mean, he's top 7. Matthew is top 7. What makes him top 7? Well, I'll tell you what. He's smart. He was a tax collector, which takes some pretty good smarts. He's got to have some pretty good relational skills, to relate to both Jews and Romans. And he probably is pretty cunning too, because to be a tax collector, you got to be convincing. You got to be a pretty good at convincing people to pay their taxes, because that was not happening. He had to get out there and make sure it happened. So Matthew is top. Is that what I saw? Matthew's top 7. Oh, I see. What up, Jared? Welcome to the stream. Welcome, guys. If he's top 7, that means he's 7th. Hey, but listen up. James, son of Zebedee's top 10. So according to that logic, he loses because he's 10th. We got to consider this by challenge basis. So we got smart and cunning. That's what we got from Matthew. From James, son of Zebedee, what we got is athleticism, and we also got drive. He's got drive, and he's not ashamed. That's what we got. So let's see who is going to win this one. Dum da dum dum dum. Oh my God. No, this is not fair, bro. Okay. So, okay. Hear me out. I don't want this to be a sweep. I want you to at least consider Matthew here. Okay. So James, son of Zebedee, yes, he grew up as a fisherman, and that was his trade for his entire life prior to following Jesus. Okay. That being said, let's put that aside. Let's have a discussion. Okay. Let's have a discussion. So what does Matthew have going for him? Well, Matthew's pretty smart. He's smart, bro. He's got that tactics, bro. He probably plays, if he was living today, he'd probably play fishing simulator just to get those skills, bro. That's Matthew. Re-roll? No, I can't re-roll. Just because I just don't think it would be fair. I don't think it'd be fair. We gotta stick with what we get. That's what this is all about. I love Matthew Murdoch. Does that count for him? I don't think so. We got to take it on merit, bro. We got to take it on merit. We got to decide not based on popularity. I know we love Matthew, right? He's number 7 for a good reason. A lot of people love Matthew. If you've ever watched the show The Chosen, he's probably people's favorite character. But we got to choose it on what we actually think is going to happen here. So that's my best defense for him. So, but this is a fishing competition. James grew up as a fisherman. Matthew, we don't know anything about him potentially fishing at all. So, but he's smart. He's smart. That's all he's got really going for him. So, who wins? Who wins in a fishing competition? I don't know. I do know. Oh man, that sucks. Some of these, it just sucks, just because that's what it is. That's what it is. Jared, what do you think? Does he win this one? Judas is top 12 apostle. Actually, that puts him not in last place though in this list. Actually, did I put him at 12? Maybe you're just reading the list. I put him at 11. I actually put Judas at 11 because he's a money changer. So I think he's a lot like Matthew. I think he's pretty smart too. Yeah. Okay. He's going to sweep. I get it. Okay. Lay off my back. Okay. Matthew's a pretty cool guy. He's a cool guy. But yeah, James, son of Zebedee wins. Shocker. It's really just the competition there. It sucks. That's the main thing. It's just, that's what the competition is, man. That's what it is. Yeah, you think so, Jared? I think so too, bro. I think so too. All right, what do we got next? We got 2 more for round number 1. Up next, we got Peter. I mean, everyone knows who St. Peter is. Versus Thaddeus Judas. So Thaddeus, we don't know too much about Thaddeus. In the Chosen, though, Thaddeus had an ailment, right? So he had his own sort of sickness. Judas in this, I thought you had a mood. No, I didn't. No, Judas is in this. This isn't Judas Iscariot. This is a different Judas. So this is Thaddeus Judas. In one gospel, he's called Thaddeus. In another gospel, he's called Judas. So that's why we call him Thaddeus Judas. But he's separate from Judas Iscariot, which is the famous one you're thinking about. So we got Peter. I mean, he's number 3 on the list. Peter is the most just out there gonna he's the only one that stepped out of the boat to walk on water. Peter becomes the head of the church. He's the first person to say that Jesus was the Messiah, at least in the Gospels. In the Gospel of Thomas, it's actually Thomas that's the first to say that Jesus is the Messiah. But in Orthodox Christianity, Peter's the one. He's the start of being the Pope, right? The very first Pope, according to Catholic theology, is Peter. From Matthew 16:19, he was given the keys to the kingdom of heaven. And whatever he looses on earth will be loosed on earth, and whatever he looses in heaven will be loosed in heaven. So he's got authority, leadership, good public speaking skills. He's not going to back down. Peter's not going to back down. And if you've ever seen a picture, let me pull up a picture of Peter here. He's swole, bro. He's so swole. Let's pull up a picture. Let's see. Peter is swole. Look at this dude. He's got gains, bro. He's got gains for days. Bro can bench at least 500. At minimum. Bro's pulling in at least 1,000 fish with one hand. Okay, so that's Peter. Thaddeus, according to the Chosen, he's a sick little boy. That's what he is. But he's got heart. He's got heart. He's probably done a lot of reflecting. If it's a poetry competition, I think Thaddeus might win it. If it's a poetry competition, he's been through shit. So that's what we got. Thaddeus versus Peter. What is the competition? Let's spin it. How do you have a picture of Peter? That's from a TV show. So Peter, oh my God. It's a floral arrangement, bro. Okay. If I'm being honest, this might be the only competition where Thaddeus actually has a chance. That's wild. That's crazy. Oh my God. Floral arrangement. So as I said, and this is from the Chosen. This isn't from the Bible. We know basically nothing about Thaddeus from the Bible. We know a lot about Peter. The picture I showed is from the TV show, The Chosen, which is a TV show about the 12 disciples of Jesus as they followed him. And he's swole. And I think we got good reason to think that he's pretty swole. Okay. You think it's Judas. Let me defend Peter here. Peter's got a wife. He's the only one out of all the disciples that we know has a wife, because Jesus heals Peter's mother-in-law, which means that he's married, which means that he has a wife. So, out of Thaddeus, who the only reason I'm thinking he's got a bit of a feminine side is because of his appearance in The Chosen, which is not from the Bible, not from the Bible at all. Okay? That's all made up from The Chosen, the TV show. But in media, he's a little bit more on the feminine side. Whereas Peter, he's got a wife, dude. No man with a wife in 0 BC gave their wife flowers. Oh, shit. Oh, I gotta pull that one out. God. Oh, okay. That's fair. That's fair. That's fair, bro. Okay, but is this in 0 BC standards, or is this by current day standards? Because he's a man of the house, right? He's a man of the house, which means a manly man takes care of his woman's needs. That's what that means, at least in modern day. So out of anyone who's going to be listening to what a good floral arrangement looks like, it's Peter. Peter's the one that's going to have the inside scoop. He's going to have the inside knowledge from his wife. Whereas Thaddeus, we don't know much about Thaddeus from the Bible, but we do know that Thaddeus in The Chosen is a little bit more sensitive. And so potentially he wins because of that. So that's what we got. We got historically more plausible versus, according to the media's presentation of the disciples, a lot more plausible. That's what we got. Peter Griffin is a family guy, and he doesn't give Meg any flowers. Okay, but hear me out. I'm trying, guys. I'm really trying. But Peter, the Apostle Peter, is not Peter Griffin. Look, do I need to show you the difference? Do I need to show you the difference? I think I need to show you Peter again. I think I need to show you Peter again. Okay, this right here, this is Peter. Okay, just because he shares a name with this guy, just because he shares a name with this guy right here, does not mean they are the same. I mean, Exhibit A, Exhibit B. Okay. Do I need to explain myself? Exhibit A, he's a funny guy, okay? Peter Griffin's a funny guy. But Exhibit B, do I need to explain myself? You guys can choose what you want. You can choose what you want, but I mean, come on. I think we know. I think we know the answer. Maybe. You guys choose what you want, though. You guys choose what you want. It is Peter. Swole, got gains, and a little bit sensitive side because he's married. Versus Thaddeus, who just naturally has a sensitive side, at least according to The Chosen. Jared, welcome back. So, in this competition, it's a floral arrangement. So Jared, who do you think is going to put together a bushel of flowers better? The Apostle Peter, who's married, so he's got the inside scoop from his wife, and is and so historically maybe more likely, or that. Okay, I'm already seeing Peter L. Let me talk. Jared, please come on my side. Or Thaddeus, who, according to modern day media, is a little bit more on the sensitive side and probably would put together a floral arrangement a little bit better. Okay, 2 votes for Thaddeus. Personally, my vote's for Peter, because historically I think he has a better chance. And I'm sad if Peter loses from stage 1. Maybe he deserves it though, because if I'm being honest, in extra biblical literature, Peter's pretty sexist. In extra biblical literature, he's pretty sexist. I'll pull up I'll pull up Gospel of Thomas here real quick so you can see what he has to say. Cause well, tell me what you think about this. This is Peter in extra biblical literature. Simon Peter said to him, "Let Mary," this is Mary Magdalene, the only woman in the competition, "let Mary leave us, for women are not worthy of life." Jesus said, "I myself shall lead her in order to make her male, so that she too may become a living spirit resembling you males. For every woman who will make herself male will enter the kingdom of heaven." No flowers. Oh, okay. You know what? We got a big upset here. It looks like we've got a big old upset here. Okay. Jared, you voting? Thaddeus or Peter? Go ahead and vote. Let us know. I forgot about that. Gospel of Thomas is wild for that one. Yeah, the Gospel of Thomas. Verse 113. So what Jesus says there, you might think is also sexist, because he's like, every woman has to make themselves male, right? But I think that's actually, there's a pretty good interpretation of that where he's not actually talking about females making themselves male, but instead it's interpretation where males should make themselves a little bit more female to drop the gender identity. Not in terms of like modern day, like gender politics, but in terms of like the worldly identities that you receive in this world are going to cause a lot of harm, because you're forced this sort of way of being and living. And this example, right? Men are supposed to be really strong. They're supposed to be leaders, according to at least the patriarchy. And so when it says that women should become males, what it's saying is that the expectations of women to be kind of submissive and all of those kind of things, she should drop that to just become human, to find her own humanity rather than be subject to the identities of this world. And then for Peter, it's more, you need to become more feminine in order to drop the identity of masculinity so that you can be true to yourself, not true to the expectations of society, but true to yourself, right? Which could be masculine, could be assertive, right? But recognizing that. So I think that's more what Jesus is saying there, but so Gospel of Thomas, heaven is basically all dudes. Yep, you're right. Which is very different from Islam. That's for sure. Oh man. All right. Thaddeus is the winner. You know, I think it's sad that we live in a world where Thaddeus beats Peter. But hey, at least we get the underdog every once in a while. We get the underdog. All right, this is the last of round one. We got James, the brother of Jesus, and Judas Iscariot. So this is the Judas you were talking about. Peter hated women. You know what? He probably did. If I'm being honest, Peter probably hated women. You're probably right. So we got Jesus, not Jesus. We got James, the brother of Jesus, and we got Judas Iscariot. So straight up, Judas, he's a bit of a criminal. He's a bit of a crook. He's the guy that betrayed Jesus. In Muslim tradition, he's the guy that actually took the, so it depends on your tradition, but in the Gospel of Bartholomew, I believe it is, Judas is the guy that gets crucified instead of Jesus, right? So in a sense, and according to Islam, Judas is kind of a hero because he's the guy that gets crucified rather than Jesus. Jesus gets taken up into heaven, according to the Gospel of Bartholomew, and Judas is the guy, instead of betraying Jesus, he's the guy that takes the weight of the cross for Jesus. So in a sense, he's a bit of a homie, if I'm being honest. Also, the Gospel of Judas, he is the guy that betrays Jesus, but he does it in a way that he knows that he's benefiting people, right? Because if Judas didn't betray Jesus, according to the Gospel of Judas and Orthodox Christianity, we wouldn't have salvation, right? There would be no Jesus to die on the cross for people's sins. So Judas, in a sense, is the Savior. And in the Gospel of Judas, Jesus appears to him before the betrayal and says, you have to do this. And when you do it, you will be rewarded in heaven. So there's two conflicting versions of Judas. He's either a crook, but he's smart. He handles the money, or he's actually the guy that takes the brunt of everyone's hate and even physical death for other people in order to safeguard other people. So he's kind of like Batman, you know, where Batman, a lot of people don't really like Batman, but he does what it takes in order to help the people. He does it for the people, not for the status. That's Judas Iscariot. Okay, so that's Judas against James, the brother of Jesus. So James is a leader, okay? James is the leader of the Jerusalem church. He wrote his own book that's in the Bible. And, he's probably a good public speaker. He's very persuasive. He's going up against a potential criminal. James has scruples, right? He's not going to do wrong things. He's not going to do anything that's wrong. And he's a strong leader. He's got good public speaking skills. He's got to be pretty persuasive as a person. That's what James is. So James the Just, according to church tradition, versus honestly probably scummy Judas Iscariot. He's either scummy or he's a hero and nobody knows it. It's one of those two. What is the competition? Let's see it. Oh, what? Okay. Honestly, this is a bit of a flip of a coin, in my opinion. Archery, neither of these people seem to be like good when it comes to athletics. They seem to be both smart and cunning. That's what their strong suits are. So the question is, who's going to be the better archer? Who's going to be able to maybe go out of their own skill set a little bit more appropriately? Well, Judas, Judas got poison arrows. I'm not familiar with that tradition, but maybe. I mean, he hung himself, according to one tradition. I'm not familiar with him getting poison arrows. But if we're talking about poison, okay, hear me out. If we're talking about poison, James, the brother of Jesus, died because of poison. The reason he died is because he had a political adversary who poisoned him, and James, the brother of Jesus, died. That's according to Josephus, which is our earliest depiction of any sort of martyrdom. The historian Josephus talks about James, the brother of Jesus, dying due to poison. So that's what we got in terms of poison, if we want to talk about archery. Judas spends 30 pieces of silver on archery tutorial. Okay, he spends 30 pieces of silver, but I mean, James, the brother of Jesus, he's got the entire tithe and offering of the Jerusalem church to spend on archery. I mean, come on. If we're talking about resources, James, the brother of Jesus, has way more resources than Judas. Judas is taking care of the money, and he was stealing from the ministry. So that's the guy we're talking about. Okay, but here's the other thing. Judas is probably willing to cheat, whereas James, ain't no way he's cheating. James is too much of a good guy to do it. So even if James is better at archery because he's smarter and more cunning and probably could convince someone to give him some archery lessons, right? He probably got connections in that way to have someone teach him archery. Judas Iscariot is definitely going to be willing to cheat. Judas today would open carry. Yeah, maybe he would. All right. That's what I got. So I got, we'll vote here real quick, but I got James, the brother of Jesus. He's the leader of the Jerusalem church. He's got connections, so someone could definitely teach him archery before this competition. He's probably athletic, right? Because he would have been a carpenter with Jesus. Oh, dude, he was a carpenter. Oh my God. What are arrows? Bows and arrows. What are they made of? They're made of wood. James, the brother of Jesus, was a carpenter. You don't think he was making bows and arrows? You don't think that was already something he was doing? You don't think he was shooting bows and arrows? Bro, I don't think this is a competition. Unless Judas Iscariot can get away with cheating, I don't think he wins this competition. Ain't no way. Ain't no way. You got to convince me because I'm all in on James. I'm all in on James here. All right, let's do a poll. So James, the brother of Jesus, James the just versus Judas Iscariot. What do we think? Vote below. Vote below. Vote is out. So, okay. The main thing is, out of this, I think James has skills already. You know, he's already crafting bows and arrows. Like, that's a thing because he's a carpenter. Second, James has connections because he's a leader of the church. He's got resources, which is the tithes and offerings from the church. He would delegate toward this potentially if it mattered. Whereas Judas, he's got some resources, right? He was in charge of the money during Jesus' ministry, but that ministry was a lot smaller than the ministry after Jesus died, which is the entire Jerusalem church. That's what James has got. So he's got resources, but fewer resources. The only reason I think Judas might win this is because he cheats. That's the only reason. He'd be the one to cheat. Judas would shoot a bull with his arrow and it would go chase James cartoon style. Hey, you got to use your resources. You know what I mean? If there's a bull, bro, I'd see it. I'd see it. That's why they call it the bull's eye, bro. That's why they call it the bull's eye. Okay, well, looks like we're at 50-50. Oh, boy. So we got one vote for James the Just and one vote for Judas Iscariot. Vote below. Who wins? I think James has probably got the skills, though. James has definitely got the skills. Jared, who do you think wins this one? You said 50-50. Who do you think wins this one, bro? I honestly think it's James, man. I think James 100% wins this. He's got the skills. The only reason Judas would win is because he cheats. And that's only if he can get away with cheating. Now, maybe he shoots a bull and it's cartoonish style. I like the creativity. But what are the likelihood that there's a bull hanging around at an archery competition? What's the likelihood of that? I don't know. All right, we're at 1-1. We got to vote. We got to get a vote. I'm going to give it another minute. I'm going to give it another minute. So if you don't vote here, I'm going to choose James the Just because I think he wins this. Jesus would never shoot someone, and James got the same genes. Gotcha, Jared. You can vote. I don't know if you've already voted yet or not, but if you haven't, if you want to click the vote button in the chat, and you can select which one you want. James the Just, which it sounds like is the one you're choosing. You can vote there if you haven't already voted. Yeah, dude, I get it. I get why you'd choose Judas Iscariot. Part of me wants him to win, but we got to be practical here, man. We got to be practical. Because, I mean, if James knows how to craft fine wooden pieces like a bow and arrow, then there ain't no way. Okay, Judas Iscariot takes a vote. Oh my God. It's like the meme. Oh my God. Oh man. Oh man. Judas Iscariot. Okay. He is going to cheat. So if he can get away with cheating, I could see him winning. Okay. I'm going to give it another 30 seconds and then I'm going to close it. But Judas Iscariot's winning this thing right now, guys. Oh my God. We back, baby. We back. By the way, Microwave Coffee, I love your tag, bro. I love the name you got there. Actually, right here, I got Microwave Coffee. Oh, that's great. It's good. I love that name. It's good. All right. You got 10 seconds to do the vote. 9, 8, 7, 6. Otherwise, Judas wins. 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Poll ended. The poll is ended. Guys, we got an upset. Judas Iscariot wins the first round. All right, boys. That's insane. That is absolutely insane. I did not think Judas Iscariot was going to win that, but hey, the community chooses. It's your vote. And you expressed your power of democracy. Good job. Give yourselves a round of applause. Good job. We're through round 1, guys. That's round 1 in the wraps. Yeah, it's not so healthy, but it's okay. Yeah, that's probably true. But hey, I'm with you, man. I'm with you. Microwave Coffee all the way. All right. Next up, we got John versus Thomas. Okay. So John's our number 1 seed. He's the number 1 seed in the entire competition, and he's going up against Thomas. Now let's recap. Who are these people? John is athletic. He's fast. He beat Peter to going to the tomb. So we know he's athletic. We know he's a good fisherman, right? He and James, they would have been fishermen together. And he's very he's probably a good speaker. He's a writer. He knows Greek. So not just Aramaic, but he knows Greek because he wrote in Greek his gospel. So he's a pretty talented guy. Now he's up against Thomas. Now Thomas in the Bible, right? He's the doubter. He's Thomas the doubter, right? Doubting Thomas. But doubting isn't always a bad thing. It means that you can think for yourself. So he doesn't take things for granted. He thinks for himself. He's a self-starter. On top of that, Thomas in extra biblical literature, he's the main man. He's just like Peter. Everyone loves Thomas. He started so many churches. He's the main guy. He's the first guy to discover that Jesus was the Messiah. He's got them smarts, bro. He's got that dog in him. That's what we're up against. So we got John, athletic, great leader, great writer, creative, good fisherman, versus Thomas, also a great leader, didn't write anything. We don't know if he knows multiple languages or anything like that. But he's got that dog in him, and he doesn't take things for face value. He is a self-thinker. All right. Let's see. What's the competition here? Oh, jousting. So what we got here is a good old joust. This thing. A good old joust. Jousting competition. Okay. So jousting's very athletic. You gotta be pretty athletic to joust. And we know that John was really athletic. I mean, bro is fast, and he was a fisherman, so he's gotta be pretty strong. You know what, bro? I think you're just controversial. I think you want the underdog every time. I think you just want the underdog. No chance Thomas takes this. You know what? Thomas is going to win this. Maybe I start hyping the wrong guy. All right, guys. Let's think about this objectively, okay? Think about this objectively. So, John, we know he's athletic. Thomas, we don't know if he's athletic. I think it's probably going to be John here. Plus, he's the number 1 seed. He's got them smarts, so he's probably got them tactics too. You know, Thomas, he's people smart. Thomas is people smart. Thomas probably thinks too hard about things. You know, he doesn't take things for like at first hand, right? He's a self-thinker, self-starter, but because of that, he might overthink things. Whereas John, he just does things. He's a doer. John does not take the time to process and analyze every little bit in a competition. He's got that natural athleticism that's going to carry him and just do it. You know what I mean? You feel me? So it's John versus Thomas. Who wins in a jousting match? I mean, I don't know. It's up to you guys. You decide. John v. Thomas. Also, if you guys like this content, I do live streams every single week. Not on Sundays. This is kind of a unique thing. I'm celebrating having done this channel for a year, so I'm pretty excited about that. But I do live streams every Tuesday night at 7:30, where I watch, if you've ever heard of Alex O'Connor, he's a philosopher on YouTube. I react to his content, and I'm watching and reacting to every single one of his videos in order to then make a culmination capstone video that I will publish and potentially get his attention and get invited onto a show. So that's the goal, is to be invited onto a show after having watched every single one of his videos and made a thing for that. So if you want to be a part of that process, if you want to play Alex O'Connor bingo and see this amazing accomplishment that's taking me over a year to do, then join me 7:30 Central Standard Time in the US. And we're watching every single Alex O'Connor video live on Thursday nights. I think I said Tuesday. I used to do it Tuesday. It's on Thursday nights. So that was just a little plug. I also do podcasts every single week where I interview scholars on the intersection of science, religion, and philosophy. So, all right. So far, John's in the lead, guys. So far, we got John, number 1. I'm going to give it another minute. But yeah, I mean, my personal vote would be John too. He's just got that athleticism. You know, he's naturally athletic. He's not going to overthink. I think he's the guy. I think he's the GOAT. You know, okay, Paul's the GOAT. But John, he's the number 1 seed. He's the first pick overall if this was an NFL draft. You know what I mean? He's the guy. So actually, no. He's the number 2 pick. Simon the Zealot is the number 1 pick overall in the NFL, but he's out, bro. He's got there's no one here to even compare to John's athleticism. I voted for John Cena. Do it. That's right, bro. He's just like John Cena. He's the guy to just do it. Just do it, man. Just do it. I love it. I love it. All right. It looks like John's going to be the winner here. Just do it. Boom. Okay. John is our first semifinalist. First to make it to the semifinals. So, all right. Up next, we got Mary Magdalene versus Andrew, the brother of Peter. Now, reminder, Mary Magdalene, she's got funds. She's the leader of the women's ministry. She's got charisma, right? She's probably a bit creative. Like most women back then had to do a lot of sewing and be a little bit more on the creative side. And if she had funds, she probably was a pretty successful like seamstress or something along those lines. I mean, I don't know what they were doing exactly, but something along those lines. She had to get her funds out some way, or she married well. But in either case, she is very charismatic versus Andrew, who he's going to do whatever it takes. He's going to do whatever it takes. He's going to work hard, and he's not going to take no for an answer. Oh my God. I totally blanked on that. You can't see me, John Cena. I'm stupid. Sorry about that, bro. Sorry. You can't see me now. I'm in shame. I'm ashamed. You can't see me. Sorry. I'm sorry. Forgive me, man. Forgive me. I'm sorry. Do you ever watch those like prank phone calls where they'd like prank phone call someone and then they would play the John Cena music dun, 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 and stuff. I don't know if you've ever seen those videos on YouTube. They're pretty funny. They're like way back in the early 2010s. All right. That's what I think we got. We got Andrew and Mary Magdalene. What do we got for the competition? Yeah, that's goated prank phone call for sure. Oh! All right. All right, public speaking. So let's discuss. So we got Mary Magdalene. She got in her position because she's pretty smart, right? She's pretty smart. And sorry, what'd you say? He retired. Did you hear about that? Oh, you're talking about John Cena? Yeah. Yeah, he retired. Yeah, I don't know too much about WWE. I so many people have been telling me I should get into it. I probably should. Because it's so theatrical, you know what I mean? That's at least what I've heard. And some of the clips I've seen are like, God damn, that's insane. But yeah. Okay, so we got public speaking. That's the competition. Mary Magdalene, she's got connections, so she's got that charisma. She's good at convincing people of things. Versus Andrew. Okay, Andrew's going to be strong, but he was a follower of John the Baptist, okay? So that means he's probably a bit of a wild man. He's probably a little bit smelly. He's probably got flies on him. Now, he's willing to do whatever it takes, right? You know, if it took him to just like take off his shirt in front of 1 million people in order for people to get to listen to him, he would do it 100%. If he needed to wrestle a pig, he'd do it. You know, whatever it takes, he'd do it. So, but we're talking about public speaking and probably a bit of decency and convincing people of things. So do you think a wild man who's just like whatever it takes versus Mary Magdalene, who's a great leader and has a lot of strong connections and a lot of charisma, who's going to be the better public speaker? That's what we got. And because she won the rap competition, we can go Little M. She could probably start the public speech with a little bit of rap. You know what I mean? So, oh wait, did we already do this? No, we didn't. Hold up. Did we already do this? No, that's right. The other one was okay. Sorry, I had to I had to think about that. So we got Lil M, Mary Magdalene, and last time I called him Andy. Good old Andy. Time to vote. Vote is out. Go vote. Who wins this? In a public speaking competition, who's more persuasive? Who's the better at captivating an audience? Is it Mary Magdalene or Andrew, the brother of Jesus? What do we got? Go and vote. All right, we got to vote. Little M. Bro, I think she's going to start that speech with some bars. You know what I mean? She's going to start it with some good bars. Maybe a bit of a roast. But also, she's going to know how to tell a joke to calm people down and then say something super sentimental and serious and to the heart. She just knows that psychology, you know what I mean? But Andrew, I mean, hey, maybe what Andrew does is he, instead of just doing a pure public speech, he does something crazy to get people's attention and then says his message. You know what I mean? So I could see him potentially winning this, but I think he's the underdog. Andrew, what he would have to do to win this is like, I don't know, probably take on some like big dude in like a wrestling match in some mud. And if he won that, he'd potentially win this. Or, oh, hey, this is what he does. He gets Judas to shoot his bow and arrow at that cartoon bull that you were mentioning earlier. And the bull chases him around. And then he gets on and rides the bull. That's what he'd do. In order to just get people's attention. And then he'd do his speech. I think he is helping the up-and-coming wrestlers get better backstage. Yep. John Cena. I mean, I don't know too much about John Cena, but that'd be pretty cool. He sounds like a great guy. He's the main face of everything WWE. All right. I think we got our winner. Mary Magdalene, Little M. Little M takes the dub. I guess it was 2-0. All right, up next we got Paul. Now the next competition is Paul versus James, son of Zebedee. Guys, I don't need to introduce Paul to you. You guys know who he is. He's adventurous. He's well-traveled. He's super smart. Knows everything about Torah and Jewish history. He knows how to connect with people. He knows how to public speak. He knows how to build tents. I mean, bro is talented. There ain't nothing that he can't figure out. Now that's versus James, son of Zebedee. Now, James, son of Zebedee, I didn't mention this before, but James and John, they're brothers, and Jesus calls them the sons of thunder, which to me probably means they're a little hot-headed. They're a little bit, they got passion. They got a lot of passion. So James, son of Zebedee, he's got passion at least, and he's athletic. So that's what he's got for him. He's got fishing, he's athletic, and he's got passion. That's what he's got. Whereas Paul, he's pretty athletic, I'm sure, because he's traveling all over the place. You got to be in pretty good shape for that. Paul's adventurous. He's been through a lot of shit. He's been through so many, boat crashes. He's been in prison, and bro just does not stop. He's also got passion. Bro does not stop. He preaches in prison, and every single person becomes a Christian because of his preaching. Bro is just dynamic. So we got a dynamic person versus another dynamic person. This is the dynamic duo. What's the competition? What do we got? How old is Paul and James in this comparison? Ooh. Like at what stage of life? Let's say in their prime, right? So Paul in his prime would have been probably about the age when he started his ministry. That would probably be around when he was in his prime. And then James, I'm thinking James shortly after Jesus died. Because James dies is pretty early, right? James he doesn't live very long, whereas Paul lives a full life. So that's what we got. Oh, okay. Okay. So the competition is cooking. That's actually really interesting. I think this is going to be really close. A cooking competition is going to be really close. And here's why. Because first off, James is a fisherman. He knows how to cook a fish. He knows how to prepare it. He knows how to cut it. He knows how to cook it up, and he knows how to present it. Bro knows what he's doing when it comes to fishing. So that's what he's cooking up. That's what he's doing. Whereas Paul, Paul's a pretty smart guy. By trade, he's not much of a fisherman per se, but he's got connections. He could probably cook up something pretty well because he's got people that probably know how to teach him to cook. He's got brains. He knows how to figure things out pretty quick. So it's really up to, do you think James's fish that he can cook is going to be better tasting than whatever Paul ends up cooking up because of just how smart and intuitive he is when it comes to most things? That's the vote. Paul versus James. Who wins this one? Vote is out. Honestly, a cooking competition, if I'm being honest, I think James wins this one. If I'm being honest, I think James wins this one. And it's because he's a fisherman, And it's crazy that we got James, son of Zebedee, 2 rounds he won because of being a fisherman. That's why. He won round 1 because he's a fisherman and the competition was fishing. And round 2 he's winning because the competition is cooking and he can cook a goddamn good fish. Bro is just like, he's getting all the good competitions. Man, it's kind of unfair. Honestly, I feel like Paul wins this one in any other competition besides this one. But James, honestly, he's got that luck. He's got that lucky edge to him. He's got that lucky edge. Fisherman doesn't mean they know how to cook. Trust me. Okay, that's fair. Honestly, that's fair. Fisherman does not mean he knows how to cook. It just means he knows how to prepare a fish for cooking. He knows how to catch it. He knows how to to gut it, and maybe even cut it if he's a butcher, but not necessarily cut it. But I think in olden days they would have butchered it too. Paul is an open-minded fella. He could figure it out. Okay. You know what? You're convincing me. Currently, it's 1-1. And just because you said that, I think I'm gonna cast my vote for Paul. You convinced me. I really was thinking because he's a fisherman, he could cook. But you're right. Fishermen don't necessarily know how to cook. But Paul, he's a smart guy. He's got connections. He could probably figure it out. I like it. I think I'm gonna end the poll there. I think we got Paul. I think he's the winner. Okay, so in our semifinals, we got John, our number 1 seed overall. We got Mary Magdalene. She's a bit of an upset, number 4. And then we got Paul. I already said Paul. But John, Mary Magdalene, and Paul. Who's going to be our last of the semifinalists? Here we go. 2 people. Okay, these 2 upset the person in order to get where they're at. These two are fighting hard to get where they're at. Thaddeus Judas, he beat Peter, bro. He does not, he's not going to stand down to number one apostle. You know, everyone thought that Peter's going to win this thing. He's the most popular disciple. Hell no. Thaddeus, he's like, nuh-uh, let me take the mic. Let me step up. I got you. Don't discount me, baby. I may be number 14 seed, but I'm number one in your hearts. That's Thaddeus. And he's got a bit of a sensitive side. Like last time he won because he put together the best floral arrangement. Now, we got to talk about Judas. Judas v. Judas. Dude, I didn't even think about that. You're right. Judas v. Judas. Okay, let's talk about Judas Iscariot. Judas got here because he's smart, okay? He got here because he's smart and because he's willing to cheat, okay? He was the major underdog in that last match, but bro pulled out his mechanics. He pulled out a way that he knew how to win. Cheaters always win in his books. So Thaddeus, he's sensitive. He's got a big heart, but he ain't going to cheat. Judas Iscariot, bro's going to cheat and not even question it. Not even a question. Bro is going to do what it takes to win this thing. That's what we got. Thaddeus versus Judas. What's the competition? Let's see it. Oh, no way. No way, bro. Okay, painting. Guys, we already established that Thaddeus is a sensitive boy. He's got that sensitive side. He's got feelings, man. He's very emotional. He's going to paint such a beautiful ass landscape. You're going to be crying and you're never even going to be able to explain why it's so beautiful. Because it comes from the heart. That's Thaddeus, man. Okay, but Judas, he's not gonna stand down, okay? He's not gonna stand down. Judas, honestly, this is what Judas is probably gonna try to attempt. He's gonna flip around all the colors of Thaddeus's painting, and he'll probably mess it up. He'll make Thaddeus's painting the wrong colors. He'll mix around all the colors, maybe mix together colors without Thaddeus knowing. And if he can get away with it, I think he takes the dub. But only if he can get away with it. Because Thaddeus, he's got that natural skill to him. He's got that natural skill. How is Thaddeus going to afford paint? It's mad expensive. Judas got 30 pieces of silver. That's true. And on top of that, Judas doesn't just have 30 pieces of silver. He takes care of all the money for the ministry of Jesus. That was his job. He was the accountant. And so if he's taking care of all the money, Thaddeus only has money because Judas lets him have money. That's a good thinking right there. So Judas, most likely what he's going to do is he's going to be like, okay, we got a painting competition. Hey, Thaddeus, here's a piece of silver. Here's one singular piece of silver. Go buy yourself what you need for this competition. And then Thaddeus goes and buys, cheap ass stuff. Whereas Judas, he goes and he buys the good stuff. He buys the good stuff. He doesn't even need to cheat. He just sets it up so that he wins. Okay. That's fair. But Thaddeus, he's got the top skill. He's more naturally skilled. He's got more emotion. Maybe he can work out with lesser tools and still win because he's got that natural emotional skill to him. All right, that's what we got. We got Thaddeus, Judas. Judas v. Judas. Should I put it as Judas and Judas? And then you won't know which Judas is what. That would be funny. Who's going to win, Judas or Judas? I don't know. The world may never know. Oh, man. Honestly, yeah, that point about him just having all the money and resources to buy better paint, that might do it. But I mean, is paint material, is that really that much more persuasive here? Because it's not necessarily the tools, right? It's not always the tools that you got. Sometimes it's just pure skill. It's just pure skill. So even if Thaddeus has lesser tools, the fact that he has more of a sensitive side and is probably more skilled at painting, he might win this. He might win this. I don't know. I think it's pretty close. All right, we got one vote for Judas. So if you're just tuning in, we're doing a tournament ranking all of the disciples in different competitions. We spin the wheel to figure out what the competition is. And the last competition is a painting competition, painting a landscape. Now, Thaddeus, out of all the disciples, is probably the most sensitive, right? He's the most emotionally intelligent, and he's probably got the most story, right? Because he's been through a lot of tough times in terms of disease and dealing with disease, right? Whereas Judas Iscariot, he's a bit of a scumbag, man. He's a scumbag. He's going to cheat his way, and he's got the money. Judas Iscariot probably gave Thaddeus the money in order to buy the resources for this painting competition. And Thaddeus is probably not working with as good of material as Judas Iscariot. Let's be honest. Let's be honest. So, do you think the one who's more naturally skilled and more passionate about the challenge is going to win? Or do you think the guy who has the better materials and is going to cheat, do you think he wins? I'm going to give it another minute. In the old days, artists spent all their money on paint and lived poor. Paint is super hard to come by. Yeah, I mean, that would be back then. But is it current day? You know what I mean? Or if we were to put these disciples current day, how would things play out? I still think the fact that Judas has all the money still applies, right? So in that sense, I would agree with you. But we're not talking necessarily about 0 BC. We're talking about modern day. Because, I mean, some of the other competitions were like rapping, who's the best musical producer? So, but we'll see. We'll see. All right. 30 more seconds. 30 more seconds. Looks like Judas is winning this thing. If you think Thaddeus Judas has a chance, this sensitive boy, he's a sad boy. Come on. We gotta support the sad boys. If you think Thaddeus is gonna win this thing, vote now. Otherwise, Judas is taking the dub, man. And I mean that in more than just one way. He's taking the dub. He's stealing it, man. He's stealing it from Thaddeus. Yeah, I mean, Judas would use AI art. And he wouldn't admit it. Oh, man. Bro, if Judas used AI art, yeah, in modern day, he definitely would. He wouldn't even need paint. Damn. Yeah. He'd pay the subscription. No. This is what he'd do. He'd tell Thaddeus that he needs to pay an entry fee into the competition and use the money that Thaddeus paid as the entry fee to buy the best AI art out there, to buy the best way to generate an AI art landscape. And it's not even close. All right. I think I agree. Judas wins. Always be cheating. ABC, always be cheating in my books. I'm going to end the poll. Oh, man, that's crazy. AI art. Judas wins it with AI art. Bro, that's sad. It's sad, but, man, Judas uses his resources. He knows how to use his resources, man. All right, guys, we are at the semifinals. We're here. We are here. I gotta set the stakes here. This is a pretty big deal. These people fought hard to get where they're at, and they deserve it. Well, maybe not Judas, but everyone else, they deserve it. You know what I mean? Well, microwave coffee. Maybe you think Judas deserves it. Honestly, maybe Judas hasn't been cheating, you know? Because maybe in another tradition, according to this whole tournament, everyone thinks he's been cheating the entire time. But no, he's just the GOAT. And he's willing to take on all the accusations in order to win. Maybe. We'll see. Semifinalists, we got John. He's our number 1 seed. You know, he's a jack of all traits, right? John, he's smart. He knows multiple languages. He's good rider. He's athletic. He's really fast. He beat Peter to the tomb. Also, I didn't mention this. John survived death. He survived being poisoned by the Romans. Bro is a beast. He had visions and saw the future. John is not someone to take lightly. He's number 1 for a reason, man. And he's a fisherman. He's got passion. He's one of the sons of thunder. Bro's got it. That's why he's number 1. That's why he's here. Everyone knows he's number 1. And it's going to take a good competition for him to be upset. But who's he facing? Who's he facing? He's facing Mary freaking Magdalene. Mary freaking Magdalene. She is a beast of her own. She's not number 1. Okay, she's not number 1 seed. But some say she's not number 1 because she's a woman. And this is 0 BC, man. It's sexist. But she's overcome the odds and she's number 4 seed. She's overcome the odds. She's got resources. She's got connections. She's smart. She's probably charismatic. That's what's got her here, man. She's charismatic and she's smart and she's good at talking to people. She's good at public speaking. She's got money. That's Mary Magdalene. Number 4. All right, number 2 seed overall in our another competition is Paul. Now, Paul, not surprising. Just like John, he's a beast. He's an adventurer. He won the cooking competition. And bro just uses his resources. He just figures things out. He's charismatic. He's a jack of all trades as well. I think a competition between John and Paul, it's a toss-up. But that's Paul. I don't even need to talk too much about him because you know who he is. Last up in the semifinalists, who would have thought? Who would have thought? It's frickin' Judas Iscariot. Fuck, dude. That's insane. Judas Iscariot. Bro's been, supposedly, he's been cheating his way the entire way, and he does not give a fuck. He does not care. He's going to cheat his way all the way to victory, to that W. All that matters is that W, man. That's all that matters. That gold, that golden cup. And he's not afraid to do whatever it takes. Those are our finalists. All right, round 1 of the semifinalists. Fight. What do we got? John versus Mary Magdalene. Here we go. What's the competition going to be? Oh, that's interesting. Okay. Juggler. Out of John and Mary Magdalene, who do you think is going to be the better juggler? Okay, so juggling is going to be a little bit about your coordination, right? So whoever out of these two do you think is a little bit more coordinated? Now, we know that Mary Magdalene's got resources. She could probably get some lessons in juggling. Maybe she's good at juggling. Maybe the reason she's charismatic is because she's got a lot of skills to show off to people, just interesting things that she can do. Maybe some of these speeches that she's doing for the women's ministry just also have fun little activities where she juggles for the people. Who knows? Maybe she's just got that talent. So that's Mary. John, though, on the other hand, he's just naturally coordinated. Even if he wasn't a juggler, even if he didn't already have that skill, he could probably figure it out and figure it out pretty quick. So that's John. Mary Magdalene versus the Apostle John. Who do you guys think wins? Let's put it out. Let's put out the poll. Don't be sleeping on little M here, man. Don't be sleeping. Little M is Mary Magdalene. Anyone just tuning in. Because she won a rapping competition before. Well, it wasn't rapping. It was a musical producer. So, but that's her producer name. She's Little M. John's just, DJ John in the house. Maybe. But yeah. So we got John, the Apostle John versus Mary Magdalene, Little M. Oh boy, we're up for an upset. We're up for an upset. Okay, we got Little M. She's got a vote. And honestly, I respect it. I think this one's a bit of a toss-up because I think John is definitely more naturally coordinated, right? But Mary's got charisma. And part of the charisma might be the fact that she just already knows how to juggle. Maybe she does. Maybe that's why people listen to her, because she's just naturally talented. These are two really talented people here. So I don't know. Also, okay. Mary Magdalene, she juggles a lot of positions. So maybe not just like natural, like actual juggling, but like she juggles a lot of different roles, right? She's one of the main core of Jesus's group. So she has to fit in with all the guys and all the scrutiny. I mean, Peter's giving her all the shit. Peter's giving her a lot of scrutiny. And she takes it like a dog. So that's her. She juggles that. She also juggles leading the women's ministry. She juggles her own job where she pays the bills and gets all her finances. She juggles the fact that she has to account for all of her own finances and fund the ministry. As a male feminist, women need to juggle a lot of things in regular life. Much, much more than men. Very true. Very true. Yeah. So, I mean, I was thinking like the actual act of juggling, but hey, in the abstract, I think Mary is the better juggler at life. I think she's the better juggler at life. I think you're right. All right, so far, Mary's the winner. Does anyone want to sway it? Does anyone think they can sway it, man? Anyone think they can sway this thing? I'm going to give it another 30 seconds. But yeah, I think I agree with you. Women have to juggle way more than men. Way more. So true. But John, he's naturally coordinated. He could probably figure it out pretty quick. This would be a huge upset, honestly. I mean, not for this competition, but in overall, because John, he's the number one seed. Everyone expects John to win this thing. John or Paul, either one of the two. And if we get Mary Magdalene to the finals, that says something. That says something. That says that she's here and she's not going anywhere. She's got something to say. And in a man's world, right? In a man's world back in 0 BC, she made a name for herself. Everyone knows who Mary Magdalene is because she made a name for herself, just like she is in this competition. All right. 100% of the vote goes to Mary Magdalene. Little M. Little M wins the victory. Bada bang. All right, guys. We got our first finalist here. Mary Magdalene is our first finalist of the entire tournament. Who are they going to go up? Who are they going to go against? This is going to be an interesting match. I could see an upset here, but Judas Iscariot's going to really have to pull through, man. He's really going to have to pull through. If it's something that Paul is just absolutely going to destroy Judas at, which there are a few things, like, for instance, Torah trivia. If we get Torah trivia, there ain't no way Judas Iscariot can cheat his way through, because even if Judas cheated on every single answer, Paul is going to get every answer correct 100%. So it's just going to keep tying until Judas somehow slips up with using ChatGPT or gets caught using ChatGPT or something. So if it's Torah trivia, Automatic dub. Ain't no way. Paul takes the dub. But other things, I think Judas Iscariot might have the edge just because he's willing to cheat. Maybe. We'll see. Paul's a very talented guy. We'll see. We got Paul v. Judas Iscariot. The day has gone by fast for me. No way, bro. I literally called it. The competition is Torah trivia. Bro. Ain't no contest, man. Judas Iscariot is going to try and cheat, and he's going to literally get maybe 1,000 answers in a row correct, but Paul's also just going to get 1,000 answers correct because he just knows the Torah that well. Whereas Judas Iscariot's using ChatGPT the entire time. And by the end of that competition, he's going to get caught. Yeah, nah, bro. Judas is cooked. You're right. I'm sorry, man. I love how far Judas has made it, but this is what Paul was made for, man. Paul was made for this. All right, vote's out. Vote is out. So I do have not too much time left before I got to get going, but serves him right. Yeah, bro, he's been cheating this whole, we find out, where the entire competition, this is how I imagine it. The entire competition, we're kind of wondering, bro, how is Judas winning these matches? It's is he cheating? We can't figure it out. We can't figure out whether he's cheating or not. But he keeps winning, so we're like, okay, we'll let him win. We'll let him win. And then finally, he meets his match just because Paul is just that much better than him. And eventually, he gets caught cheating, and he's out of there. That's what happens. That's what happens here. Oh man, he did well though. He did well for himself. A lot of people were cheering him on until they found out he was cheating. Until they found out he was using ChatGPT. Sorry, bro. I'm sorry. Tough luck. All right. Paul wins it. Good old Paul. No surprise. Now, this will be an interesting matchup up next, though. Oh, wait. That was 2. Paul sweeps it. This will be an interesting matchup up next, though, because we have Paul, who is very talented. And this entire time, he hasn't even met any sort of real competition. Let's look at what he's done so far. So Paul's first match was James, son of Alphaeus. Who even is that guy? Who the heck is even who the hell is James, son of Alphaeus? No one knows who that is. Sweeped. Easy. Done. Next up, he faced James, son of Zebedee. Now that was his first hiccup. Okay. He had a little trouble. He had a little bit of trouble against James, son of Zebedee, but he wins it 2-1. And why? Why does he win? Why does he beat James, son of Zebedee? Because he figures it out. Even if he's the underdog, which he's rarely the underdog, he's charismatic and smart. And he knows how to figure it out. He's the main influence of Christianity for a reason. You know his name for a reason. But who is this man facing? He's facing Mary Magdalene. Everyone thought that Mary Magdalene was not going to win this thing. They thought she'd go far, but they did not think she'd be making it to the finals. Ain't no way. Ain't no way. People be saying oh, she's a woman. Boo. And she'd be like, say all you want. Speak up. I can't hear you. Because she's got that dog in her, man. She's the GOAT. She's the only one of the women that most people today know from the Bible. People know other women from the Bible, but if you ask your average person, first person they'd say from the Bible is Mary Magdalene. That or the Mary, the mother of Jesus. Her name is known because she does not give up. She overcomes all odds, and she made it here today. Who'd she beat? Mary Magdalene beat Bartholomew. Not too much of a competition. But second up, she beats Andrew, who's the brother of Peter. That's a tough competition. But she beat him. She did it. She, against all odds, she wins. And she beat the number 1 seed overall, the Apostle John. Don't you dare underestimate little M. She's a beast. And through this competition, everyone's realizing exactly why she's here. She is meant to be here. She did it for herself. All right. Let's see. What's the competition? Let's see it. Oh, boy. Oh. Damn. You know, out of all of the last ones here, 100-meter dash. Okay, boxing match, that one also would have been bad. But 100-meter dash, I don't know, man. So this is my line of thinking here. Paul, he's traveled literally all over the world. Bro has stamina. And this isn't just like, they didn't have cars back then. They didn't have much to travel. He traveled by foot. Bro knows how to walk. He probably knows how to jog, and he's probably a good runner. Not to mention, he runs from the authorities pretty often. Right? I mean, so many times he's under pressure from the authorities and he gets away. He escaped through a window running from the authorities once. Now, he has gotten caught a few times. But bro knows how to run. He knows how to run from the popo. He's got them speed, bro. He's pretty fast. In 100 meters, he could probably win against most people. Are we talking old man Paul? You know what? I think we got it. We got to say that they're both in their prime, just for argument's sake. Okay, so we're talking about prime Paul. He's athletic. He's well traveled. He's got stamina. But this is a 100-meter dash. Okay, so 100-meter dash is a short length, right? So it's not just about long distance running. It's about speed. It's about how fast he can run in a short distance. So that does make a difference. So do we think that someone who probably has good stamina could actually beat someone else in a 100-meter dash? Now, Mary Magdalene, we haven't talked about Mary yet. What does she have going for her? Well, I don't really think... Jerry said, bro, he does it quick. Yeah, I mean, okay, but we got to talk about Mary. We got to talk about Mary. Mary Magdalene, she's got heart, man. I feel like she's gonna train way harder than Paul. Like, Paul probably thinks he's got this in the bag, and that might bite him in the butt. Mary, she's the underdog, but she's gotten here because she knows that she's the underdog and is willing to go past that. So if they got time to train, I think this is a lot closer. You know, Paul, I think he's just naturally maybe more athletic. But I think Mary, if she truly had the time to prep, I think she could pull out with the dub. Because she's got that heart, man. She's got that victor's heart. So natural talent versus effort. I think that's what this is. Paul with the natural talent. Lil M. She's got that spirit. Man, I kind of want Mary to win this, but if I'm being honest, I think Paul wins it. But it's up to you guys. It's up to you. Out of my hands. Out of my hands. Okay, Little M has got a vote. She is winning. She's winning it so far. Is Paul really that athletic? I mean, he's traveled all over the world by foot. He's survived several shipwrecks. He runs from the police. I think he's got to be pretty athletic. To say the minimum, he's got to be fairly athletic. He feels like a nerd guy who embellished his athleticism. But he's not embellishing it. It would be other people who's embellishing it, because those stories that we're talking about are all stories in the book of Acts, and Paul did not write the book of Acts. It was written by, according to church tradition, it was written by Luke, right? Who would have known Paul. So a friend of Paul wrote it, not Paul himself. But that's fair. He is a bit nerdy. That is fair. And I think Mary Magdalene could be fairly athletic. All right, it's 50-50 split. Oh, that means it's up to me. Okay. Give me your reason why you voted for who you voted for, and then I'll vote. Because right now I'm leaning on Paul. I think if they have time to prepare, I think Mary Magdalene might be able to win it. But outside of that, I think Paul wins it. Yeah, because you'd expect someone to either be very smart or very athletic. But not always. Not always. I mean, some of the top soccer players in the world, extremely smart people, super smart people. Because there's a lot of tactics involved. And you got to have good vision, all that. You got to see patterns really well, memorize patterns and sequences, react in the moment. Athleticism is about conditioning, but it's also about smarts sometimes. Now, okay, we're not talking about soccer. I get it. We are talking about a 100-meter dash, which has less to do with athleticism and more to do, or all to do with athleticism and more to do with, that. I voted Paul since, even considering that he's not some athlete, men usually are taller than women. Tough choice, though. It's true. All right, I'm going to give it 30 seconds, and then if I don't get one more vote, I'm going to just choose Paul. Right now we got 1-1, though. Yeah, I got to get going here soon. So this is the last bit. Last bit. Who wins it? Who's going to win in a 100-meter dash between the Paul, the apostle, and Mary Magdalene? Freaking Little M. On her last stride. Can she beat Paul? Convince me. You got to convince me, or you got to vote. All right. Finale. Final choice in 10, 9, 8, 7, 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Paul it is. Paul it is. I am ending the poll. Paul wins it. 2-1. Honestly, tough. If I was watching that game, I'd be crying right now because I would be so devastated that Mary Magdalene did not come out with the win. But hey, Paul wins it. He won it fair and square. He's got that dog in him. People thought that Paul before this, y'all were saying he's going to solo it all. You were right. Paul is the victor. Good job, everyone. Paul clears it. That's for sure. All right, guys. Well, I got to get going, but I appreciate you being here. Thank you for voting and being a part of this challenge. I had a lot of fun. This last year has been amazing for those who have been watching my content. It's been really great to be able to interview so many great people. If you haven't already, be sure to like and subscribe. Follow the channel. Again, I do live streams every Thursday night at 7:30 Central Standard Time, so be sure to join for those. And if you want to watch some of my content, I interview scholars on the intersection of science, religion, and philosophy. So I actually got a video coming out with on the Gospel of Thomas here soon, and then I'll have a follow-up video on the Shroud of Turin, part 2 for the Shroud of Turin as well. So that's what I got coming up. All right. Yep. I'll talk to you later. Bye, guys. Hope you had a wonderful rest of your day. Bye now.